All right, what's going on YouTube? This is BoxingWave. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. All right. So let's talk a little bit more about Devin Haney. Found out today that Javier Fortuna is now his mandatory for his WBC title. Okay. So whenever they work out the purse bids and everything, they'll be eventually scheduling a fight. All right. Devin Haney has been his name has been ringing lately in boxing, heavy, heavy, heavy. This past weekend, he had his toughest fight in his professional career against Alfredo Santiago. All right, people are still talking about this fight. A lot of people weren't impressed. A lot of people were impressed, but a lot of people are talking about it. Okay. Um, Also, you can't forget the franchise title situation with Lomachenko. Loma was elevated to franchise champion, and a lot of people feel that he did that to avoid Devin Haney. Okay, so a lot of people are talking about that, and now Devin Haney is full WBC champion. All right, so his name is just ringing. You got the back and forth between Tank Davis too. So it's just been a lot of good media about him. I mean, bad media is good media anyway. Everybody's talking about him. A lot of people feel that he's a hype job because of his last performance. And a lot of people feel that he's great. For his age, he's gonna be the next big thing. I've even heard comparisons to Floyd Mayweather a lot. All right. So look, Javier Fortuna. How do I feel about it? I love it. I love it. I think first of all, I think it's a better matchup than what we've been getting with Devin Haney lately. All right. I think stylistically, I think that matchup is definitely gonna be a great fight because Fortuna comes to fight. He has power. He has speed. He fights a little wild at times. He can be a little tricky and awkward and even a little dirty at times. So I think he's gonna bring a very very tough fight to Devin Haney. Okay. And a good thing about it is he's a former champion. All right, he's got good names on his resume. Maybe he's been at 130. He was a champion at 130, but he's been in there with some good fighters at 135. So it's not like he's fighting a guy that's unproven. Abdulayev was good. It's just that Haney was a terrible matchup for Abdulayev. Just based on his style, and uh, Santiago wasn't the greatest style for Haney, but it was a great experience fight. I mean, Santiago was a very experienced fighter, decorated amateur, and as a pro, he was undefeated. And he was tall, long, so he gave Devin Haney some issues in that fight. All right, so I think Javier Fortuna is a great matchup because now we can at least compare Haney's performance against everybody else that's been in there with Fortuna. You had Miguel Roman in there with him. You had who else fought him? Jason Sosa, who stopped him. You had Robert Easter Jr. that was who won, but it was a split decision, a very controversial one. I remember when that fight went down, a lot of people felt that Fortuna got robbed. So it was like one of those fights. I mean, we get one of those fights like every week now. But this is a great matchup, because Fortuna's been in there with a lot of people, and he is a former champion. And it's one thing that even I even got a couple of comments of fans saying that even though Devin Haney's a champion now, he's still kind of a prospect, which is possible. It's possible. I feel the same way about Jaime Munguia at 154. He's a champion or whatever. Yeah, he beat who did he beat? Saddam Ali. Ali beat a older Miguel Cotto, an active older Miguel Cotto at 154, um, and won a title. But then he got destroyed by Jaime Munguia, who, even though he's a champion, he's defended his title a few times. He's not fighting the very, very best at 154. We know that the best guys at 154 are mostly over there on the PBC side. You got J Rock, you got Hurd, you got the Charlos, you have one Charlo now, you have Lara. You got a whole bunch of guys that's at 154 that Jaime Munguia is not fighting. So I feel like he's still like a prospect. He's also young, and even though Devin Haney is a champion, he has to defend his title now against the very best. He's still kind of a prospect, and he's fighting prospect level people. He's not even fighting the very top contenders yet. He hasn't yet. So Javier Fortuna is one of those guys. He's one of those top 10, contenders, and he's a former champion at 130. So this is a proper test for him, okay? That we at least know of. We know Santiago. Now we know Santiago was a good test for him after watching the fight. But going into this fight, we know that this is a good test for him up until the point where he fights a Luke Campbell or Lomachenko or Teofimo Lopez, Comey, or whoever it is he fights in the future. We know that Javier Fortuna has been in there with guys. Even with the couple of losses he has, he's been in there with top guys at 130 and 135. So now we have something a little bit more evidence to say whether or not, listen, is this kid it now? Do we need some more time? Which I feel that he do. I think he needs a little bit more time. I think in a couple of years, and I say within a couple of years, and he probably won't be at 135 at that point, but I think he's already a top guy at 135. But I think he has so much room for improvement. I mean, he's only 20 years old. So there's still a long road ahead of him. I mean, he's great. He's excellent for his age, you know? And I think he's getting the media and the press that he deserves, because I mean, if you look at it, he's already being compared to Floyd Mayweather. He's already connected to Floyd. Um, he's connected to Tank Davis. He has good sparring sessions. I mean, people know about his sparring sessions and who he's faced in sparring, and you can go to Dante's Boxing Nation and watch the whole fight between him and Shakur Stevenson. And just him being in there and just being aligned with Lomachenko and Tank Davis and Teofimo Lopez and all of these people, I think is good. And he has a lot of potential to be a superstar, you know? So I think it's good press. I think bad press is always good press still. And I think this is the time to really prove if you could go in there and fight Javier Fortuna and look impressive and even possibly stop Fortuna. I think that would be a really, really impressive win. But right now, a lot of people feel that he's a hype job because he didn't look great, absolutely great, totally dominated in his last fight. And I think it's based on the styles. I think the guy was tall, rangy, and I said this before, and I said the same thing when Teofimo Lopez fought Nakatani. I think a lot of people were a little bit too hard on Lopez, including his own promoter. I think Nakatani was very, very underrated. He was tall, he was long, he was he was very light on his feet. He had a great 1-2, good timing, good counter punching. And I think he was a tough fight for Lopez, and I think people went a little too hard on him. But you have the fanboys, you got people that hate him, you got people that love him too much. I think there's people out there that are hyping him a little bit, but also I believe that people are just simply hating on him because he is getting hyped up too much. And I think that's a problem with boxing fans. I think a lot of fans take it a little bit too much because they're a big supporter of them. But you got people that hate on boxers because of their fans, not really necessarily because of the boxer themselves, but because of the fans. The fans tend to overhype fighters, and that's always going to happen. I mean, it's boxing at the end of the day. It's sports at the end of the day. You get that with any sports. You overhype a player or a boxer or a fighter or whatever, a golfer, whatever, tennis player, soccer player, whatever. You overhype them, there are going to be people that are going to be pissed off because they feel that other people in that division or weight class or whatever is better than them, you know? So, look, I like this fight. I can't wait for them to actually fight. Whenever they announce, give us schedule a date and stuff. I'm sure they're working on that. But I also really, really like the fact that he's staying active. He's fighting as much as possible. This was an issue I had with Tank Davis because there were so many gaps and there were so many beefs between him and Floyd. And I felt like that was affecting his career. And then in his younger years, he should be fighting as much as possible. Devin Haney has picked up a lot of professional fights already in his short professional career, and I think that's great. And then he's slowly stepping up with each fight because uh, I actually think even though Abdulayev might have been higher on the rankings, uh, I think Santiago was a better fight. I thought he was a better fighter. And I think Javier Fortuna is even better than that. Well, he's definitely a lot more proven than that. Let me say that. All right. So I like it. I like the news. And I want them to keep pushing and keep going and keep winning. He's 20 years old, and whether he fights Loma now or down the line, or whoever he decides to face next, regardless, I think they're going in the right direction, and they actually want to fight the very best. Unlike some people in that division, doesn't really seem that they want to make the best fights. So that's my thoughts on it all. Like again, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.